part 3, the penultimate episode. So last week we tackled the barrel action, and this week we're going to be taking the wood. The love-hate relationship with this gun is definitely swinging in the balance towards hate. I'm not entirely sure whether this week's going to change any of that. Anyway, enough talking, to the bench. So before we start on the wood, I'm actually putting some of the metal bits back in place so that we do sort of finish them together, or else you end up with that really awful wood to metal fit that, to be honest, you completely expect on a gun like this. And first things first, we're going to start with some 240 grit and we're going to rub it all over the top of this wood until it's nearly finished. When it's nearly finished, we're going to back off a little bit. So there we have a really quick go over the top, and that's going to reveal dents, scars, and everything just a little bit better. Everything becomes apparent and sort of allows us to know what we're dealing with. And the answer is certainly on this side, nothing too tasty. Before we go any further, I'm going to fill this hole, fix this crack, and once that's dried, fill this crack. You know, actually it really isn't too bad in terms of structure. We just need to stop the crack going any further and fill it with some kind of resin. And luckily we've got just the tool for the job. But first, let's go get some glue. Bit of a difficult one. However, with all things, you've got to make it a little bit worse before it gets any better. So, just going to flatten off the sides. God, I forgot a hammer. Right, I am going to go downstairs and quickly shape up a bit of wood. Back in a sec. So here we have a nice piece of wood. What we're going to do is we're going to grip it. Grip the wood very, very firmly. My workshop is constantly filled with these little baggies full of brown dust. It's nothing suspect, it's just various colours of sanded walnut that come in handy when doing little jobs like this. Let's go have a look. So we've just made up this tiny little bit of wood. So hopefully it's about to sit in that hole just lovely. And the answer is yes, it's obviously just massively oversized. So what I'm going to do, I'm just placing it in there, scribe it, go chop it out. Right, I'm happy with that. That's a good fit. Let's go cut that out. Not a firm enough grip on my wood there. Fingers crossed, it's quite a nice fit. Alright, so what I need to do is drill a little pin into the bottom there, a little pin into there, and actually bond them together. I'm not going to bore you with that. Let's get on with making a mess of this gun. And it'll be ready in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Sanding off the hardened stuff. Some hours later. As much as this looks awful now, it will look better, fingers crossed. Always would like to, maybe I should have just inlet a piece of highly coloured acrylic in there. It really would have wound people up. It looked absolutely awful.
Has baseball messaged you yet?
No, mate. Unfortunately not. I did get something from bosses, but apparently Sash couldn't come with, and that was a deal breaker. Cheers. So Sash just asked, what's the plan, because it's a very different colour. As you can see here, the wood in the white is actually quite light. I'm going to dye this, and specifically dye this area quite a bit darker than the rest of the gun, because I probably should have spent a little longer selecting a correct piece of wood. However, I didn't. So, yeah. Jesus, look at this, yeah? If we wash all that away, have a little look, and that's been just smacked with 240 grit. You never would have thought the stock was that bad underneath. Again, going back to what I said before, think of the stories that this stock could have told, or the gun could have told, and it just gets more and more evident that it has had a really pitiful life, or a really great one. take your pick, you know. Well, it really does seem a shame to remove too much of that, so I think, not going to go quite as whole hog with the wood. A bit like the metalwork, it needs to retain character. It really does need to retain character. Vive la France. Oh God, if only I had some French inspiration.
Do you hear the people sing, singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart matches the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes.
%, I should have soaked this because all of the crap coming out of this wood is intense. Should have given this a proper bath. It's too late now, we're committed. Okay, so now we have come to the hands down the most tedious part of this whole project. Checkering. I'm thinking 2 very plain patches running the length of this back part of the tang, because that's where your hand goes on one side and your hand goes on the other. I think I'm going to keep it really simple because I've been creative enough already, as you saw in the last episode. Okay, before I start, let's cue some motivational music. So I am in a state of absolute misery. My initial design that I thought might look alright looks like an absolute and I'm kind of, I could do a bit like the engraving and cut it all off and start again, but I'm committed.
I, for one, am very impressed.
Yeah, but no offence, mate. Don't count.
Why?
If we're talking about cameras and pictures and stuff, yeah, but this is... Well, it just looks the answer. The diamond angle is wrong, and I should have thought about it up front and actually spent a bit of time on it as opposed to just kind of going for it. You live and learn, don't you? We'll make up for it the other side. This really is crap, and I am sorry. And I really should say that this is no indication of my professional standing, because this is kind of free-handed in a bit of a rush, and it's crap, isn't it?
Should we play the blues?
Yep. We might have cured the design issue. Let me finish this checkering block, and I think we're just going to put a little filler in there. That might just cure my sadness.
Is that alone down your back, pushing you down?
I genuinely feel like I made a huge mistake there. That tiny little infill makes me feel a bit better about the whole prospect. A, the diamond's in the right sort of grade, and B, it makes the whole checkering affair look. So let's flip it over. Let's forget that side. Let's move on to the other side. And they may bear zero resemblance of each other, but nobody will notice.
Does that mean the blues can stop?
Blues can stop, we're over it. We chalk it up to experience of Johnny, please stop rushing. Johnny, please drink the tea that you got about an hour ago. It's miserably cold. And Johnny, try and remember the base principles of what you do for a living. And as such, don't rush checkering. Think about checkering, lay it out, scribe out, and do a decent job in the first instance. Because if I struck all this off and started again, yes, nobody would notice. But I'll notice. That is beautiful. I love a bit of contrast, me. Anyway, so checkering panel number 2. The redemption side. Oh my god, I've never done checkering that bad since I started. I don't think I've ever done checkering that bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to redeem ourselves. Let's come up with something good, shall we? So my current thoughts are very much along the lines of a Fleur-de-lis. I'm going to keep the French theme, just prep it, and then sketch something out, I guess.
Looks to me like you're about ready to chop your ear off.
Right, about ready to chop this gun up. Do you ever sit and think that you just shouldn't be doing something in the first place, and you should just have left well alone? Because I think that regularly. Right now, this little plan, I have cramp, my tools are blunt, my tea is cold, all for the sum total of about 2 minutes of entertainment. We shall crack on. It's hands down the hardest wood I've ever checkered. I think just where it's been battered and battered and battered and battered over the course of its life, it is super dense, and there's certain spots that just glide through. So it's not my tools aren't sharper, well, I could probably do with the replacement after this job. It's just the fact that this wood is dense as you like. So I just took a quick break, and I am in such a quandary because that little Fleur-de-lis checkering, although it's a bit of a piss take, I'm quite happy with it. It's a nice addition to the gun. That first bit of checkering I did was just so badly planned and then fairly quickly executed, and that for me kind of takes away from the overall point of the gun. And I know it's not supposed to be a display of gun making art, but that does offend me. I want to get rid of it. Sasha thinks it should stay. So bringing out the coin. So Tails, the checkering's coming off. Tails, let's get the files out. Alright, time to undo a significant portion of my life. Let's go.
Every moment I am losing a part of my soul.
Every moment I am losing a part of my soul, but it's the bad part, the part that decided to make cross-act checkering by some kind of ridiculous idea.
I've just been filming this for 4 hours.
Yep, and you're going to film it for another 2. Or else I take this off and make it look pretty.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, it was an abomination. It really was. Like, an utter abomination. Again, of everything I do, I have to imagine I'm reviewing it somehow. Bit like the engraving. What would I say about that? Probably, what would I say about this? So it's coming off. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to replace that with nothing. Because actually, as much as it'd be beautiful to replicate this side and join them up at the top, ain't nobody got time for that. Well, it's immensely satisfactory to spend a lot of time doing something and then essentially get rid of it. But doesn't it look a lot better without that monstrosity on there? Yeah. And now that side actually looks really nice. And it's not overshadowed by... it was a mistake. We all make mistakes. It's almost worth making that mistake to get that pleasure of getting rid of it. Time to apply a little bit of oil then. Cracks fixed, holes filled, checkering done. Checkering undone. And if you thought it was a waste of your time, imagine how me and Sasha feel. Let's go. First coat of oil and see what lies underneath that battered woodwork. I said I was going to darken this down, didn't I? Well, I lied. What a pretty bit of walnut, eh? It's been pretty intense so far. We're going to leave that to dry, and whilst we do that, we're going to brown that barrel. I'm going to brown it. Short making a proper cradle, I'm just knocking up something temporary so I can heat this barrel up without touching it. And, well, you know the score. Harmful or fatal if swallowed, make damage of digestive tract. Vapor may be irritating. Use it in a well ventilated area. Do not allow a solution to dry on flammable materials. If in eyes, flush through with water for 15 minutes and seek medical attention. If swallowed, do not induce vomiting. Do not try this at home. Look at the cool colour of the flame. I feel like that's unbelievable. Definitely shouldn't be going green. Alright, and now we're just going to let it cool down. I did get a tiny bit on my fingers. Let's wash that off. Just let it cool. Patience has never been a strong suit. So I have browned guns on numerous occasions with the same material I've just used. Never have I had one come out in rose gold, and never have I had one turned quite this black. Now if we spray some oil on it, usually it changes colour a bit, but I mean, you'd get away with telling someone that they just had their gun blacked. Well, I don't really know. There's a bit brown under there, but my guess is the steel that this was made up of, the original action, is very different to the steel of whatever this bit of scaffolding the Belgians put on the front. I'm really looking forward to bolting it together. Oh, you got a bit around the muzzle that just didn't take. Well, that's somewhat exotic, if you like. You couldn't have done that if you tried to make a rose gold action with a barrel that has a browny black effect. So we're going to leave it as it is. As to the story of the gun. Barrel done. There might be a little treat in store for the beginning of next week. And this is coming together nicely. That oil's really darkened it back down a bit, which is positive and negative, but look at that fiddleback. This really is a beautiful bit of wood. And for the sake of a few hours of doing and undoing some work to it, I'm very, very happy. Very worthwhile. So about 20 more coats of oil, a bit of polish, and this will be ready for reassembly. And we're almost ready to take it out into the field at that point. However, there's just one or two little jobs I'd like to do just to finish it off. For now, au revoir.